So E3's come and gone now. Black Ops 4 was on display for the world to see, and of course, if you were there, playable for yourself as well. Now, I was fortunate enough to go out and capture some footage and have some even more hands-on time than I had on top of what I had at the reveal event. So now I have a handful of hours of gameplay under my belt, and I feel a lot more comfortable giving not only my opinions on things, but also my recommendations for a lot of stuff. And so I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a breakdown. I know it's kind of weird because it is so early on, and I don't mean for this to be anything like a massive video in regards to it, but just kind of a keep your eye on these sorts of things. But I want to talk to you guys about what I believe are the 4 best weapons within Black Ops 4, at least as of right now, because we do have some more conventions and events coming up. Some people may be going to CWL Anaheim, to which it's going to be playable there. So if you guys want to jump in and absolutely dominate, that's one place to do it. And I think these weapons are a great choice, but really it's kind of one of those things, again, to just keep your eyes out for it. And when the beta drops, you can jump right into it with all that you need to know about what will help you dominate your competition. So for the time being, I'm pretty confident in this list, but that said, let's just jump right into it. The first one, and probably the one that I've played around with the most since reveal and here at E3, has been that of the Rampart 17. You guys might recognize this weapon from some of the gameplay we've already had up on the channel. It is very similar to that of the Scar in previous Call of Duties, and therefore a lot of people loved it immediately. And overall, I think this was probably my favorite weapon to use simply because it could dominate in any situation. Close quarters, you got it. Mid-range and long range like it's supposed to as a rifle, you got it. So it's definitely one of those ones that is more versatile compared to, say, situational, but there are a few drawbacks that I think really kind of level it out. One of the big things being the ADS time. One thing that I feel like it totally could have used was quick draw, but to my knowledge, it didn't actually have it because we do know that each weapon is custom tailored with their own attachments, so there's not going to be attachments per se for each classification of weapons. So not all rifles have the same attachments, not all SMGs have the same attachments. So one of those things that did seem to be missing was that of a quick draw for the Rampart 17, to which I wish it would have been there because I honestly don't think I would have run anything else if so, but that was one of the drawbacks here at that. But some of the best things about it was that it was a great high damage weapon compared to other rifles. It had very limited recoil, and one thing that I definitely think would make this an awesome rig if you run this is that if you run high caliber 1 and high caliber 2. Now, the one thing that might be a little caveat here is that you're gonna have to run 2 Pick-10 slots in able to do that. So it's not like a simple upgrade that automatically is applied, but it's definitely worth it if you end up using those 2 slots to get high caliber 1 and high caliber 2. If you do, you'll be able to have increased damage to the upper chest and neck, so it increases that damage spread, which with 150 HP now, that's actually crucial in being able to deal more damage faster. That TTK in Black Ops 4 is quite slow, especially compared to other games, and I know a lot of people have had their doubts in the comments. I've seen that quite a bit, so this is something that will definitely help out with that. But one thing that I swear is different is that the reveal build, I swear high caliber 2 also allowed for increased damage down to the legs, but perhaps I'm crazy on that one. But it was definitely something that was completely different than previous high calibers that we have had, because I remember being like, whoa, this is kind of weird, but I like it. But overall, Rampart 17, very similar to that of the Scar in previous titles, and one that I think is honestly just an overall great versatile weapon. So that's probably my number 1. I don't know if I can necessarily put any of these in any particular order, simply because they were very different but very great in their own regards for each of these. So that said, moving along into the second one now, let's talk a little bit about the MX9. This was by far the best SMG at the reveal event, even maybe overall in terms of best weapon, but it was seemingly brought more in line with the other weapons and other SMGs in particular for this particular build. So I don't know exactly what all was tuned in the fine details. Like we talked about yesterday, we had some changes we picked out and everything, but weapon balance is a whole new animal that I don't think we can even crack open that can of worms, just because it is so deep and so in depth that we don't have that kind of information at the moment unless a developer came right out and said, hey, we changed these things, X, Y, and Z are different from the reveal build. So I can't tell you immediately what all is different with the MX9, but it did feel like it was brought down a little bit, but it's still a great weapon. Like I said before, it feels like a Vector in a way, and I think I'm still gonna stick to that. It's a very, very mobile weapon, and it's definitely that run and gun weapon of choice. While you can make other weapons mobile and custom tailor with your setup, this weapon was literally made for that, no doubt in my mind, for that run and gun playstyle. For me, I think that the attachments on offer, I don't think there is a right or wrong setup that you can use for this. Some things I think I would recommend more so than others. Rapid Fire and Stalker, of course, a great combination here at this, but you also then have things like high caliber and advanced mags, which really make this also in a different way a lot better than the base weapon also. One thing that I would not say though to do is to put an optic on this, because I think that the base iron sights are perfectly fine in the sense that you don't have to use a pick 10 selection slot, and it's also something that again you can manage 100%. If you guys have played with, say, the Vector from Ghost, that's the one that immediately comes to mind. It almost looks identical to those iron sights. That's something that I think is very manageable, and I think as a result you can save one of those pick 10 selection slots if you skip over an optic. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, this weapon is very great close quarters. It can range some people. I don't know if I'd necessarily challenge a rifle all that much, but it definitely can be done. It happened in a few of the games that I was playing with, but overall this is probably that run and gun go-to weapon if you guys are, say, a rusher, or at least somebody that likes to play a little bit more upfield in terms of how the match will play out. If you're one that likes to push flags or hard points, it's a great one to throw on. The next one I'm talking about, I'm not even gonna lie, I didn't go into Black Ops 4 thinking that I'd be making a video talking about the best weapons in the game this early on, with an LMG being in those top 4 slots or whatever I would have thought going into it. But the Titan LMG has definitely proven me wrong. It is a force of nature. It is a beast. And this thing, once you get your hands on it, it might feel a little bit odd because it is very similar to that of, say, the LSAT from Black Ops 2, but it is still a beast of a weapon that, once again, if you can end up making it mobile, I think it's the biggest thing. If you can be mobile with this thing, you're going to absolutely destroy. The big things that, of course, it has to offer are, as with all LMGs, a high ammo capacity, but there's almost no recoil with this thing. So if you want to pop on an optic like a red dot sight in order to be more accurate, it's fantastic. But if you can manage with the iron sights, again, you can throw even more attachments on this thing, but it is definitely an insane weapon. And one thing that will definitely differentiate this from other LMGs is, of course, the fire rate. The fire rate is actually very standard and very decent for an LMG. We usually always think about these being slower firing weapons, but the Titan doesn't seem like it all that much. So when you throw all those things together, high ammo capacity, very low recoil, decent rate of fire, you're gonna start shooting lasers, and you'll see by some of the gameplay in the background that it's capable of a lot of carnage. It's gonna be a great weapon that I think once you jump in, you may very well see why it is in this list here for my top 4, at least at the moment. Maybe it is nerfed into oblivion by the time the beta comes around. Hopefully not, because it is a lot of fun to use, but it is one that I would recommend at least keep in the back of your mind for whenever you get your hands on with the game. The final recommendation I'd give is one that is another SMG. I kind of went back and forth between a couple of different weapons, but I think I'm gonna stick with this one being the Cordite. It's another SMG that, again, is in my books definitely the second best of the SMGs we had on hand, and if I were to go head to head with that of the MX9, I think I'd probably choose the MX9 75% of the time or so, but the Cordite offers a different approach to that SMG-oriented style for Black Ops 4, and maybe a favorite for some simply because it is the PDW from previous titles. I know some of you guys saw it from the reveal footage that we had back last month of Black Ops 4, and you guys caught it then, but the Cordite is very similar in almost every way to the PDW. High ammo capacity, decent rate of fire, and I think even the animation for the reload is the same, if I'm not mistaken, but that's off the top of my head. I could be totally wrong here at that one, but regardless, it is something that is a great SMG and can work wonders for your gameplay, but I think it's more so that closer quarters SMG compared to where the MX9, like we mentioned, does have some range that it can offer. I feel like the Cordite is a little bit less in that range, and it does have a little bit more kick, admittedly, than that of the MX9, so if you're trying to shoot over distance, it might be a little bit tougher for you to pull that off, simply because you're going to kick up more, and again, that recoil control comes down to knowing the weapon with that predictive system, and it's something that might be a little bit tougher. So in that sense, I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend it over the MX9, but if you're one of those people that love to rush in those close quarters maps, there are a lot of different corridors and avenues within Black Ops 4 where it's very tight space, and this is going to thrive. So in that sense, definitely I think it's a great one. Still, one of my favorite situations that I've come in contact with was that of playing the new mode Control, and I was going to clear out one of the control points on Seaside, which is that European village, and so I ran into the one building and cleared out everyone in there because, again, it's a very close quarters weapon, and it's very easy to control in that close, tight space. So for that, definitely I think the Cordite is great in that sense. So if you guys enjoy the PDW, if you like the close quarters weapons, definitely keep this one in mind because I don't think that you should sleep on it. But ultimately, that's my list of, I think, the best 4 weapons within Black Ops 4 at the moment. Once again, this may very well be subject to change because this is still pre-release builds and we're still a little bit ways off from the beta, but I wanted to share my thoughts and opinions here on this one just because I think these are worth noting for when you may be able to play it at a later point. But one quick final note is that if you guys are interested in sniping, I think that snipers are going to thrive this game. Personally, I didn't play around the snipers all that much. I did get some hands-on time with it and some footage of it, but nothing too substantial substantial, but I was playing with some people like Swag XBL and another person at another session that I went to that was absolutely insane with it. They were getting clip after clip, so it's definitely gonna be something you can play around with and definitely thrive with. But to me right now, I don't think that I could give you a confident answer in saying what's better than what in terms of snipers compared to other weapons. So for that reason, we kind of left them off the grid here at this one, but nonetheless, if you guys are a sniper, you're still gonna have a ton of fun within this game. But that said, we're gonna wrap it up there, so hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts down there in the comment section down below. Is there any weapon in particular you're looking forward to in getting your hands on when it comes to either the beta or some other time you may be able to play the game? Is there any weapon in particular you don't necessarily like out of what you've seen so far? Whatever it may be, feel free to let me know your thoughts. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, make sure you drop a like down below. And if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding Black Ops 4. Ton of Black Ops 4 content coming very soon. I'm excited to give you guys still everything we have on deck here at that. But if you guys are interested in any of that, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. And if you guys want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected from outside of YouTube. Practically live on Twitter, but I'm getting a little more active over on Instagram as well, so those links are also in the description. But with all that said and out of the way, thank you all so much for watching. My name is Espresso. Hopefully you guys have a fantastic day. Take care, and peace.